Obviously, the biggest news today is the tragic assassination of former Pakistan Prime Minister Benazir Bhutto. Whether that event alone was the primary catalyst for today's sell-off or not will never truly be answered, guys, but certainly the markets were down ugly like today. Tech momentum names like Apple and Amazon and even Oracle were a few of the select stocks that traded well. Oil and gas stocks were up most of the day. By the close, though, everything was pretty ugly, guys. Apple was even down by the close. The financials still ain't got no alibi. That's a reference from one of the great movies of all time. I'll let the viewers figure that one out. U-G-L-Y, you ain't got no alibi. Along with the loser banks, guys, biotech and the chips were also very ugly out there today.
Indeed. Okay, back with us again with his predictions. Now we're looking ahead to 2008. Dan North, Dan the man, chief economist for Hermes ACI. Am I an idiot or something? What's the ACI for?
American Credit Indemnity.
Oh, I was going to guess that, too.
Yeah. Okay, good. I'm not completely an idiot.
That's what we used to be until we
I think just using the word
Hermes.
indemnity costs you $2, whether it's in your company's title or not.
Yeah, exactly.
But I put 20 in there earlier, so I got you covered.
All right,
that's the only reason I'm not making you throw $2.
I appreciate that.
So 2008, I mean,
Yep.
okay, well, first of all, 2007, the big stories were the housing, subprime, the Federal Reserve, interest rates. I mean, this is going to be the same story for 2008, I gather.
I think so. I think that, yes, the big story is the Fed is going to continue to cut interest rates well into 2008.
But can it, with the inflation, well, creeping up here?
And with the dollar tanking like it is, at what point
more?
Are they painting themselves into a corner?
Well, one at a time, I guess.
No, Dan, we're going to both get
Come on, we're tag teaming over here.
Well, the oil is a concern, but what I think is going to save us from energy prices is the fact that the employment market is going to continue to weaken, and employment prices are really much more influential than commodity prices. So you can't have run-ups in oil prices. But it's important to note that just recently we had big productivity growth, which actually drove unit labor costs down. So employment prices are down.
What if the employment picture doesn't tank like everyone's expecting it to? Sure, the rolling average, as you cited earlier in the show, is starting to creep up, but the fact of the matter is we are still at all-time historic levels of employment. There is so much employment in this economy, and you called it a crisis a minute ago, you said, but even that wouldn't be a crisis. If unemployment ticked up to 5–6%, that's not a crisis.
Well, yeah, you're right, but I think the slowing economy is going to bring employment down, and you really shouldn't expect to see negative growth in non-farm payrolls until you're well into the recession and the slowdown. Once you see negative growth in jobs, you're already in it.
Time to buy?
So,
when you see it?
Yeah. But where people out there, our viewers are listening to you, Dan, they're like, okay, now I got to worry about my job. That's the only thing I had secure for this year because my house is already, going down the toilet. What jobs, what sectors? We know financials, we know housing. You're saying it's going to go beyond that to where?
I think it's going to be broad-based. I think it's going to continue big time in financials for sure, and it's continue eroding in any industry related to housing for sure. But I think it's going to be broad-based because the broad-based economy is going to be slowing. It always starts in some place that seems unique, or like this year, financials. It always seems like that's an exception. But it starts somewhere and spreads.
In 2002, it was telecom where it started, and it spread out to the broader economy. And guess what? You still say consumer electronics are a place to be. I don't think how. I don't see how. Won't that be housing? Certainly, consumer will be impacted by housing if we're truly is going to get as bad as you're expecting. Why wouldn't consumer electronics get it too? Secular growth, and that's part of the spending. Is that what you're going with?
It's what you want to pick. I think in general, the consumer is in a very tight spot, but they're going to keep buying something, and I think that that's probably the most promising industry for looking for consumption. But yeah, the consumer in general is really wedged between high energy prices and low housing prices, record levels of debt. They're definitely going to be pinched.
The biggest problem I've got with your outlook on consumer electronics, why I sort of keep coming back to that.
I know, you're harping on it. Get over it already.
Really, because I just
you disagree with
You're killing me,
but
man.
Those stocks too. I mean, the Apples, they've already priced in so much good-looking forward stuff. It is supposedly the safe place to be if you're going to have any exposure to the cyclical economy. People are saying consumer electronics.
Well, it's what appeals. I think it's when the consumer still has credit card to use, that's probably the one item that has the most bling bling to it. You know.
Yeah. And then plus the
tech
Google,
is the new fashion.
the Google phone's coming out.
Oh, the Google phone. I held my breath on that one.
I like to tease him about that one. Dan, thank you so much.
Dan the man,
so much.
thanks.
Appreciate it.
Dan the man.
Thanks. Appreciate it. Take care.
Now get out of here.
Okay.
I told him I was going to tell him that. You know, he's like, when do I leave? When do I leave? And I'm like, don't worry.
I'll make it explicit today.
Very clear. All right, the Mortgage Bankers Association weekly index of applications. Wow, that's a mouthful. Basically, mortgage applications down, and this is a big slowdown in the past week in all of this mortgage activity. Total mortgage demand fell to the lowest level of this whole year, partly due to the holidays, of course, but also a big reason loan rates crept up this past week with all the tough housing news. Can things change in 2008? Or are we going to be basically singing the same song? Sandra Smith.
Sandra Smith.
Hello.
Hi, Sandra. Welcome to the show.
Good to be here. Welcome back.
To the bar, Sandra. How are you?
Great.
So you've been covering housing. That's the
I know, you guys called me on here for this
today. We were in our morning
story.
meeting and we saw Sandra pass by. We're like, Sandra,
hey, I think we want to talk some housing.
Come talk housing at happy hour.
This was a big number today. I mean, this number is not always that closely watched, but everybody wants to know what's going to be happening with housing as we approach the new year.
Absolutely.
And that 7.6% drop that you just talked about, that is a record drop, and as you said, in the face of rising interest rates. So no, this was a big number for the housing market today, and I have to tell you, after talking to economists and forecasters all day on this, it just does not look like it's going to get any better for the housing market heading into the new year.
But, you know, everyone focuses on the rates themselves, and that's fine. But what I'm really actually terrified about, and one of the reasons I've gotten out of the hedge fund business and doing TV is because I see this problem coming down the pipe. How do the values of real estate itself, how do the values of homes maintain the level they're at? They have to come down. I saw a thing today that showed 25%, the housing market either, from Jeff Stott at Raymond James, he said the housing market either needs to stay put for the next 5 years or it needs to come down 25% to
get
correct.
Worse. I think
and so, I mean, why do we expect that it will get any better in 2008? Is there anyone out there that's actually excited about it?
Well, there is a bright spot in the market. The National, the National Association of Realtors.
Oh, those guys are objective.
Exactly.
I mean, come on.
Well, in the coming year, they are forecasting that existing home sales, homes that are already up in place, those will actually see a turnaround, as well as pending home sales. They say we'll see a slight rise there. It's the new home sales that are the big problem. The Moody's chief economist is forecasting no turnaround in the housing market until 2010. And the 2010. And the reason for that, he says, is because of the glut of homes on the market. He says nothing can turn around in the housing market until some of those homes, at least a lot of those homes, he says, are cleared off the market.
And demand is dissipating with all the higher rates, with the regulators coming in.
Is it and the people? I mean, you know, you talk to people all the time. We all do. And the number one thing they ask about, what they ask me, is about the housing market. And a lot of people are still just sitting on the sidelines because they know, just like everybody else, that the housing prices are going to continue to fall. We still have this inventory glut. They're like, hey, why buy it now? I can wait and get, you know, it down $50,000 possibly if I wait next summer.
Exactly, and that's the big question. At the end of the day, everybody wants to know if they're in the market. If, you know, obviously everybody says this is the buyer's market. Well, when do you buy? Well, that's like gambling. That's like playing the stock market. You just don't know when it's hit bottom, when it's on the way back up. So it really is a gamble if you should get back into that market during the course of the year. But you have to watch numbers very, very closely. We've got a big one tomorrow. The one tomorrow coming out is the new home sales. So we are expected to see a 716,000 new home sales, which is a drop of almost 2%. So that's probably going to be a pretty negative number.
Even let's say tomorrow it comes out at 850,000 new homes and it's 12% growth, and the economists can't believe how great it is, and all the home builders are up 8% tomorrow, and we come on the show and I go, yeah, but guys, it's just noise. We know next year's going to be bad anyway.
Drop in the bucket it could be. So
Sandra's got to have some story to cover. Right, man.
Got to have something to talk about.
Yeah.
Hey, Sandra, thanks so much.
No problem.
Excellent
Thanks
reporting.
And more importantly, what are you doing for New Year's Eve?
Yeah, what are you doing for New Year's?
Oh boy, confidential, guys.
Oh, come on, we want to know. We're on happy hour drinking beers here.
You have no plans. There are either no plans or big plans.
I'll tell you something. I'll be in New York.
You're going to be covering Times Square?
No, I will not.
What's this cryptic answer?
I know.
Unbelievable. What are you going to be doing for New Year's?
What are you going to be doing,
I'm going to be in Aruba. Like everybody doesn't know that.
Oh, that's right.
She's
You're
rocking
leaving.
it out.
Yeah, that's right.
I'll be
You're not telling us.
I'll be in New York.
I'll be at my friend Paul's party New Year's Eve. That's what I'm expecting anyway.
Well, actually, Sandra's going to stick around. Maybe for quick shots, maybe we can get her to reveal her big plans.
If we haven't alienated and chased her away
but
already.
If not,
I'm going to turn to Sandra and be like, get out of here.
We're going to gossip about Paris Hilton if Sandra doesn't want to give us any good gossip.
That's on tap next, right, Rebecca?
That's right.
On tap.